Okay, so you want to find out how I went from this to making this. Stick around. Okay, so welcome back to another episode of Beaver DIY. Today we are making a gin. So what we will be doing is we will be taking some juniper berries, some cardamom, some coriander, some fresh lemon, and we will be adding it into our gin basket and distilling through it with our Birdwatchers that we've made a couple of days ago. So that has now been fermented out and cleared up. So let's get it transferred into our boiler and get it ready to start distilling some lovely gin. Follow me. Okay, so over here we have our Birdwatchers that we were making the other day. We used some bentonite to clear it out all the way to the bottom. As you can see, everything dropped out quite nicely. So all we need to do now is transfer our Birdwatchers into our boiler. So let's get to that. Okay, so while that is transferring over into our boiler, we need to now quickly get our ingredients together. So like I said, we will be making a gin. We will be using some juniper berries. So we have about a 20 liter batch of Birdwatchers there at about 11%, and that will now distill out to roughly, let's call it 2 liters of pure alcohol. We are going to be working on about a 60% average of alcohol, so that means we'll be getting about 3, maybe 4 liters of gin out of this batch. So I've got about 20 grams of juniper berries. Okay, so the juniper berries, we don't want to crush them completely. We just want to break that skin so we can get as much as possible flavor out of it. I'm just going to use the mortar and pestle just to lightly crack the juniper berries open. Okay, so there is our juniper berries. They are cracked but not crushed, so you'll see that I've only broken the skin on them, and that will allow all the flavor to come out. Next up we have some coriander. So we're not going to use a lot of coriander. Coriander actually has a nice and strong flavor, so we're just going to take the coriander and we're going to add the whole seeds in. We're not going to crush the coriander. Next up, we are putting in some cardamom. Now cardamom has a really strong flavor, and we're just going to use about 3 pods of cardamom. So for the cardamom pods, we're not going to crush them. All we're going to do is we're going to take our nails and we're just going to pinch and break open the husk. So once you've broken open the husk, all that lovely flavor will be able to come out. We'll also be using the skin of a lemon and a orange. So when you do the orange skin, just make sure you only get the skin. So take a peeler and only get the skin. Use as little of the white as possible. The white will add a lot of bitter flavors to your product, so make sure when you do peel, just get the skin, the outer skin. Leave as much of the white behind as possible. Okay, now it's time to prepare the tower with our gin basket. So the orange and lemon we are going to be putting inside of our little reflux chamber or our sight glass. Okay, so next up is our tower. We're going to load our tower with the rest of the orange skins and lemon skin. We're also going to add our spices into it now. Okay, so we have our spices in our gin basket slash reflux column. We put some orange and lemon into the top part here, and we have put all the other seeds into the bottom part here. So now it's time to just jab that in there. Okay, so give me a couple of minutes while I get this tower all sorted out, and then we'll move over to the boiler. Okay, so with my Birdwatchers wash transferred into my boiler, it's time to start getting everything up to temp. So the way I run my still is I use time. So time and temperature, but more time than anything else. So what I do is I get my water or my wash up to temperature first before I start adding in, before I cap it. So what that means is I'm going to plug this bad boy in now. I'm going to get it up to temperature, stirring it all the while to allow everything to mix and get an even temperature through. Once that is done and I get up to roughly about 60 degrees, I will cap it and then I will set the timer again. So I do everything in about 15-minute intervals. So I set timers for 15 minutes. So any change or anything I do to the still, I allow it 15 minutes before I make any changes. Unless something drastically goes wrong, but I allow 15 minutes for anything to take effect. Cool, so let's get into warming it up. Okay, so my wash temperature currently is 10 degrees centigrade. It's 0 minutes. I've just turned on full power, so that's 3000 watts of power going into the element at the moment, allowing me to heat up the wash as fast as possible, getting it up to temp to about 60 degrees before I cap it. Quick tip for anybody that's looking to getting into distilling, something you can do before you even get your first still is start collecting glassware. So anything that you can buy in a glass container over a plastic container, buy it in a glass container. You're going to need a lot of glass containers if you start getting into the hobby. Okay, so while I'm standing here guys, one quick tip is take notes of everything. So have a notepad handy, either a whiteboard or something where you can just jot down tips, tips or whatever, little things that you notice, just jot them down. I like to take my time, my temperatures, write them down, and as I'm going to be taking off my cuts, I'm going to be smelling and tasting them as they come off, and we'll be doing my keeping and discarding as we go along. So I have my keeps jar, and then I'll take one of those other jars that will just be my throwaway jar. But yeah, so I'll be cutting as I go along, and I'll be making notes as I go along taking it. So another big thing is I tend to not use an alcometer. with my initial product, taking it off the still. I go for flavor, taste and smell, and I just try and keep it with that. I'm not a ABV chaser. I just prefer the taste and the flavor. I make this for myself. I don't make it to sell or anything, so I use it as my flavor and my taste. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes. Let's quickly check the temperature of the water or the wash. So we are now at we're at 50 degrees centigrade. So that's 15 minutes in. I believe that's good enough, so I continuously stirred it all the way through. So time to cap. So we're going to take it, we're going to cap it. Time to cap it. Okay, so I've just connected up all the water hoses and stuff. Got my water coming in, running through my condenser, going out, watering the garden. And then I also have my reflux chamber part at the top here. So this reflux section also has its own little ball valve at the back here. We're not going to be using, or I'm not planning on using any reflux for this. I'm only hoping that because it's nice and cold today, that I can get some passive reflux happening in the column, as well as this packed little side glass I have here. So hopefully that will allow some reflux to occur. And then yeah, we're going to start distilling. So it's still at full power. We're 15 minutes in. We've capped it, and the mash temperature or the wash temperature is at 50 degrees. Okay, so it's been another 15 minutes. Our head temperature has now reached 69 degrees. We will now be starting to take off our foreshots. You can see it's starting to drip out here, and it's quite potent. So I'm going to take some notes. I've also turned down the elements, so I've switched off the one element, and the other one I have turned all the way down. And what I want to do now is I want to allow this head to start balancing. So by allowing the temperature to slowly get up to temperature as it's rising, we can control the separation of the methanol, the ethanol, and all the other stuff as it comes out of the column. So I've turned down the elements, taken my measurements, reset my timer. So see you in 15 minutes. Okay, so as you can see, this is the foreshots. We have some methanol in the flame there. It's blue at the bottom. It has a very yellow tip. Okay, not a faint yellow tip. You can clearly see the yellow tip there. So that is still foreshots. So we're not going to use that. So we're going to keep that running up until we only see a nice clear blue flame. Cool. Okay, so it's been exactly 5 minutes later now, and I've just tested, and because we're using a sugar wash, and we've taken off about, I'll say about 200 mils by now. I'm just going to quickly do a test and see if the flame has changed into blue. Okay, so as I said previously, what we're going to do is we're going to burn the bottom and just let the flame lick over to the side, and we can see there it's a clear blue flame. So all the methanol has now gone off. Okay, so with the foreshots now taken off and the methanol and everything and our heads taken in one go, I believe that our run from here on out will be going into hard. So what I'll be doing is I will be putting a jar at the bottom, setting 15-minute intervals, and coming back and changing the jars out and testing and thinning it down and tasting as I go along to see what product we have. Cool, so let's get to it. Okay, so it's been another 15 minutes. We've taken off about, I would say, 400 mils over here. So our head temperature currently is sitting at 84. So that's 84 at 45 minutes now. 45 minutes. We're at 84 degrees. Still, the element is still set at exactly the same. And it's slowly rising up in temperature, but the temperature is semi-consistent. So time to change out this jar, move it over here, do some tasting, some testing to see if I want to keep it or I want to discard it. So let me quickly change out the jar. Okay, so it has a lovely gin smell to it. You can actually smell the juniper and all that. It is very intense at the moment. Remember, this is now high proof alcohol. Still burns at the touch of a lighter, so it's quite high proof stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this open for 15 minutes, standing just on the table over here while this jar is running. Set my timer. When I come back in 15 minutes, I'm going to taste it, bring the proof down a little bit, taste it and see what kind of flavors we have and whether I want to put it into my keeps jar or I just want to put it into my my non-keeps jar or my tails jar. Cool. Okay, so it's been about a half an hour since I spoke to you guys last. So currently my head temperature is sitting at 86 degrees. So it is now been 90 minutes. 90 minutes, head temperature is 86 degrees. My element is still at exactly the same setting as it was before. I haven't changed it at all. So head temperature slowly starts rising, but that's still fine. Let me just quickly check the proof of alcohol on my side here. As you can see, the distillate has started changing a little bit of color now. It is starting to go cloudy. This is purely because I am using botanicals, and you'll see here we still have a nice high proof product, and that is a clear blue flame still. So we still have a lot of alcohol coming off the still, and yeah, as you can see, the product has gone a bit cloudy, but that's fine. I'm going for flavor. I don't care what the distillate looks like coming off the still. Okay, so we have just gone into jar number 6. It has now been exactly 100 and where's my pen? Where's my pen? Where's my pen? So it's now been 135 minutes. 135 minutes. My head temperature is at exactly 87.8, and I have kept the settings the same. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bump up the takeoff speed a little bit. So I'm going to bump the temperature up just slightly on my voltage regulator, allowing me to take a little bit more off, because I've got roughly about 1 to 3 liters of spirits, nice and strong. Just want to quickly test and see if we can still get a flame on it. Okay, so same as every other time, let's just heat up the bottom a little bit because it is nice and cold out here, and then we'll try and light it. And it's struggling to light a little bit, but it does have alcohol, so we should be about at roughly about 35%. So there we go. We have a nice flame going. So we should be about at 30-35, maybe still 40% alcohol by volume. So next up, what we need to do is crank up the speed on this bad boy. We're going to start running into tails, and then I'm just going to test those jars, my hearts jars. I'm going to just give you guys a quick flavor profile on each of those jars, what I can smell, what I can taste, while this is running for the next 15 minutes. Okay guys, so as I said, I have cranked up the volume on this baby now. So by cranking up the volume, all I'm looking for is I'm going to be running into the tails now. So I'm just checking if there's any flavors left over that I want to grab out of that. First up, now I need to just give you guys a quick impression of each of these jars. Remember, they just come off the still. They are still cooking hot when it comes to all the fake flavors and the fake smells and stuff in them. So this is brand new. So this is just a quick smell and then give you my impressions on it. And guys, remember, flavor and smell, that's all subjective. This is my opinion of what I can smell. So jar 1 has a lot of citrus flavors, so you can smell the lemon. So on the nose, so what I just have notes here. So on jar 1, I have nose and then taste. So on jar 1 that we took off about 60 minutes into the run, we have a lot of lemon on the nose. So we have lemon and then orange, because we did put the lemon and orange, so you can smell both of those. So jar 2, so the lemon and the orange flavor started moving into the background a little bit, or the smell. So in here, what I'm getting on the nose is a little bit of the cardamom smells. Jar number 3. Okay, so jar number 3, you're getting a lot more cardamom and the juniper starts coming through. So jar number 3, you get a lot of cardamom, almost no more lemon, and then we are getting the juniper. Jar number 4. So jar number 4 is almost all juniper, so there's very little of the other flavors in there. So it's a lot of juniper coming through on this one here. Jar number 5, you're starting to get a bit of a coriander and juniper, so it's still a very juniper heavy, very coriander heavy, not heavy, but you're getting the coriander smell. Okay, so on this one there's a lot of coriander and juniper. So jar number 6 is coriander, juniper again. As you can also see that each one of these, jar 1, 2 is clear, crystal clear. Jar 3 gets cloudy, jar 4 less cloudy, jar 5 less cloudy, and jar 6 again we are clear again. So don't stress about cloudy. All that is that the oils from the orange peel or from the spices that you're using has transferred into your alcohol. So don't stress about it. Go for flavor, go for taste. Don't worry about the cloudiness. Okay, so time for the tasting. So how I will be tasting is, I've got a glass here, I've got to rinse it over here. So I'll take one of my grabbers, I'll just grab a little bit of the liquid and I'll grab a little bit of water. Just mixing it down, allowing the flavor to come through. Okay, so like I said, you can taste the lemon, you can taste the orange. Not a lot of bitter juniper yet, but yeah, it's nice and bold lemon flavors. So that's definitely going into the keeps jar. Okay, so jar 2. Okay, so still on the nose, you still get a cardamom, you still get the lemon. On the taste side, okay, the juniper is coming through nicely. On taste, so there is some juniper, still some cardamom, still some lemon. So these notes, guys, is all for you. It's for nobody else. It's just a reference when you do your next batch and you start playing around with flavors. You know what flavors you get from what, when do you pick it up in the distillate, and so on and so forth. Okay, the juniper is strong in this one. So that's a lot of juniper, some cardamom, but a lot of juniper flavor in number 3 there. Okay, time to move on to jar number 4. It has a lot of juniper. Once again, strong juniper flavor. Some of the lemon is coming back on the taste. Okay, jar number 5. A lot of lemon flavor. Juniper is pushing into the background a bit, but the lemon flavor is strong. Okay, jar number 6. Juniper on the nose. As it hits your palate, you get the lemon. Okay, let's quickly give jar number 7 a taste. There's a very slight aroma on the nose. Okay, so this has a little bit of that off flavor. Not too much, it's just starting to go into the tails. Okay, so that's the alarm going off. Time to change this jar. I'm going to switch it out, let it run for one last 15-minute cycle and see what we get. Okay, so that's my keeps jar. So this, we'll test the alcohol later on, but it should be around about 60%. And once I thin it out with a little bit of water, it should bring it down to about 40-45%. So I'm going to let this run till this jar is nice and filled up, and then we'll be done. So thank you very much for watching, guys. As always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and please pop some suggestions down in the comments of what videos you would like to see next. Thank you very much for joining me.